Scotchy, malty, scotchy. Malcolm.
What's it with the safety glasses?
It's nice to see you, buddy. Try Before We Die, the whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking.
And we'll give you an honest opinion of it.
We'll tell you what we're thinking. Can you, do you read the notes? Do you check email?
No. What's email?
Here we go. We're going to find out what it is tonight here in the random number box at the bitter end. 400 bottles of whiskey, and tonight we're going to open and review bottle number, got a guess?
203.
203. 205.
Kidding me?
No.
On a roll. Ish.
What? Again, you got it wrong? We're over at the Smart Gun, everybody. We'll see you over there. Bottle 205.
About that one day.
About the Smart Gun?
Yeah.
We're going to put it on the bar.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll do it.
Go
see everybody at the Smart Gun. Bottle 205.
Try before we die with a bearded man and a British guy.
Hey everybody, bottle 205. Well, we know we're at 198, 200, 204. That brings us to a region we don't go to very often, Cambeltown, for the highly sought after Springbanks. This is the 10-year-old. Barely available if you can find it, so maybe not so available, but this is perhaps the most available of the Springbanks. This is a Cambeltown Single Malt coming in at 46%. What I can recollect about this is it probably is lightly peated. I believe we have bourbon and Oloroso sherry cask finish. I'm super excited to open this and try this, and I'm confident Malcolm has never had it. I've only ever had 2 glasses myself. We'll see everybody back at the bar for the Springbank Cambeltown Oloroso bourbon cask finish. See you there. I don't really care if you heard or not. I'm always asking you if you heard. You're always like, oh, I heard. It's a Springbank.
It is.
It's a Springbank. It's a 10-year-old. It's a Cambeltown. If you're paying any attention to the forums or the whiskey world these days, highly sought after. There's an absolute secondary market where we see the prices triple and quadruple just because you found one. But we've got one here. We've actually got more than one here, but we've got one on the random shelf, right? So we got the 10-year-old. I made a call over there that I believe this is bourbon and Oloroso cask finish. We'll see if we have any evidence of that. Distilled Cambeltown, established 1828, 46% ABV, and nothing about casking. Hopefully we can find some evidence for my opinion.
So to the uninitiated, why? What is the Springbank? Why is that so?
Let's get it opened and breathing. The 1919 Springbank. That's why. Should have bought it. I wish I'd had your credit card. Actually got this in New Hampshire. One of the things that's nice about New Hampshire is it's a price control state. One of the things that's not so nice about New Hampshire is it's also an inventory control state. So it's everything is the same in every store, but if it's here, they can't manipulate the prices. That was lively.
I'd have to agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, the Springbank 10-year-old. My belief, lightly peated, bourbon Oloroso cask finished. Oh, that was nice. I love that. Okay, why Springbank? What is it about it? Does the S scream old? Does that graphic sort of have something ancient about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then at one point, the 1919 Springbank was the most expensive bottle of Scotch whiskey ever sold. I had an opportunity about 5 years ago to get not the 1919 Springbank, but a bottle of 1969 Springbank that was 50 years old. rumored to have been from the same casks as the 1919 Springbank. And my wife will be happy to know that I didn't buy it because it was $10,000.
Wow.
That same bottle today, 5 years later, is $50,000. So she probably now will be mad that I didn't buy it. But then she will be glad I didn't buy it because she know I wouldn't sell it, and then one day the box would say open it and its value would plummet. But boy, would we have an experience. The Springbank is an ancient historic distillery. Of the original 6 regions of distillation in Scotland, Campbeltown was one of them.
Yep.
It lost its status because the number of distilleries there dropped to 2. Right. Springbank held on. It's repopulating, and Campbeltown is a region again, right? Glen Scotia, Kilkerran, right? Springbank, and there are several more reopening. Springbank has held on the whole time. It also is the host distillery for the unpeated version known as Hazelburn. Springbank has pedagogy.
Look at you with fancy words.
Look at you with the Solomon shirt.
Solomon.
Yeah. I've had 2 glasses of this. I actually had it with one of the crew members who has a bottle. I actually believe I traded him a bottle of the Springbank 10 for a limited edition Anak that he was able to pick up our sound and our editor, Kevin. So, let's take a look in the book. Now, will you teach us something about Springbank?
I'll teach you about something about
The 10-year-old.
The 10-year-old. Oh, wow. You actually are pretty good. So, the 10-year-old, made from a lightly peated malt and distilled 2.5 times. To simplify a complex process, one portion is double distilled and the other is triple distilled. It's aged in a combination.
Did I got it?
You got it. Bourbon and sherry seasoned cask. And bottled at natural color without chill filtration.
Yeah. Which means that if we were to ice it down, we might get some cloud. Yeah.
So, let's go with color. And
Okay.
I know what they're saying. So you
Okay.
tell me what you think.
Okay. This is a... So when I was in 7th grade, I drank an awful lot of a soda called Mellow Yellow. And though this has enough gold for me to want to declare this is a mellow gold.
Well, I'm going to contradict you and say they are calling it a bright gold.
Okay.
And I certainly would say it's definitely of a golden color.
Yep.
I
No,
mean,
the gold is clear.
I'm not going to
Yep.
push it around and say, well, that's a bright and a mellow and whatnot.
Yep.
So
we have a golden.
we have a golden
hue
color.
for sure.
So I'm going to throw some notes out and then
Okay.
we'll go to it. Nose, complex and enticing with fresh pears, dried orange peel, seawater, paraffin wax, wool, hay, damp earth anchored by a slightly resinous thread of salty peat smoke. And if we taste it, richly oily mouth coating, wrapping your tongue in pears, citrus, beeswax candle, cracked black pepper, dried apple rings, and cracked malt. A long finish delivers oily peat smoke and a bright touch of peach gummy rings.
So this tells me we're looking for a viscous mouthfeel. This tells us we're looking for a candied sweetness enveloped with a very light smoke, which makes sense when we talk about the bourbon cask and the sherry cask and a Cambeltown whiskey. That's what I'm going to look to experience. We'll see if it comes true. There's that sherry finish.
Yep.
Unmistakable, the sherry finish.
Now you'll be a loss here because you're not from the country. but I can smell the paraffin.
Okay. And though I live in the countryside in the woods, you mean the country that you're from, not the
Where
countryside.
paraffin is it's a distinctive smell that I know.
And you're picking right up on it.
Yeah.
There is just such this slightly smoke, slightly peat. It is so mellow, just ringing the edges.
If I didn't know better, I would say it wasn't there.
Right. It's just slight.
I'm getting the apple. I'm getting that citrus.
Some of that bourbon cask is coming through, but the sherry cask is really, for me, the dominant nosing.
And it's now that we've done season.
I think we have a
4.
guest. Come on. Want to come? No?
No, he's gonna. He's not going to go.
Yeah. You never know with that guy.
Now that we've done season 4, that sherry smell becomes more distinct. As in, you can throughout all the different distillers, you can pick that smell up now.
Should we taste it?
Yeah.
Let's get after it. The 10-year-old Springbank, 46% ABV. That peatiness is there, but it is not the dominant experience, but it remains present through the whole experience. The sweet rides the top of the peat, for sure, and right below the sweet and married to it is the fruit. So we have sweet fruit peat. That's what I have.
And I will reiterate, if I didn't know better, I would have a hard time saying that it has it there. It would have that peat.
But it's there.
It is there. And
Lightly peated.
It's a hint.
Lightly peated.
And you can definitely pick up the sherry. You can definitely pick up the bourbon.
Lightly peated malt. Right, but these two different caskings are very present. For me, this is a mature whiskey that lands above the 10-year age statement.
It's interesting you put it that way. And I'm going to just twist it a little bit.
Okay.
For me, I find this slightly young.
Oh, interesting.
Because it really doesn't have all the real check marks for a Springbank. To have that peat, that smoke be more present.
Let me stop you there. And let's be sure we're not going to confuse Islay and Campbeltown.
Correct.
They are neighbors.
They are neighbors.
Islay is well recognized for that intense peat.
Correct.
Campbeltown lands closer to the mainland, lands a little closer to the lowlands, offers a little bit more of the subtleties, whereas Islay presents a lot more of the intensities.
All right.
So that's
valid.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this to me does resonate as a Cambeltown. And so I don't want to confuse a Cambeltown with an Islay.
Nope.
They are very different whiskeys, very different regions.
Correct.
Yes. Though geographically, they're like neighbors,
Right.
like you and me.
Correct.
We're from southern New Hampshire. We're neighbors. But we're from different towns.
Yes.
Different tax structures, different transfer stations, different police forces, right? But we're neighbors.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, and like I said, it's not that I would consider something from that area to be heavily peated, but I just don't. It's so light a hint.
Oh, it's very light. It's very subtle. It's allowing for that fruity sherry cask finish for me to dominate this drink.
Yes.
But with the underlying peat, which is unique, because oftentimes we'll have these sherry cask finishes will have no peat, no smoke attached to it. It'll be this other pathway entirely.
Correct.
right? And so it's bringing perhaps a little bit of a maybe a young Abelauer, right? Being married to this idea with just a little bit of peated malt, right? But they're doing it in this region known for understanding the lowlands, the highlands, and Islay.
And I will say that the more it sits after you've consumed it and it's sat in your mouth, you pick up a little bit more of that peat. There's a little bit more of that.
Right.
It's a little bit more hint.
It's so vague on the nose. It's a little more present on the palate, but it's not the dominant experience.
No.
Yeah. For me, it's the sherry bourbon peat. It's the way I'm tasting this whiskey.
I definitely agree with the sherry.
Yeah.
And the bourbon's there. It's there.
Yeah.
And then obviously that the last line is that peat.
Yeah. Whether you agree or not, I feel like this is more mature than a 10-year-old. Oh, I've got a burn right now, the way I just took that last drink.
See, I haven't.
You have any finish?
Not really.
Yeah. I just got a nice finish.
I will say this is it's a pleasant drink.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I would be like, oh.
Yeah. Would you pay $400 for it? The bottle.
No.
People do that. Price Control New Hampshire doesn't require that of you. Last time I checked, everybody, as of February 2023, there were like 6 bottles still in the state for less than $100.
That would be a statement. I would say freaking. I would find a hard time to believe I would spend $400 for
Yeah,
this.
secondary market. There are lots of people who can't find this anywhere. Word on the street is Springbank is going to no packaging, other than sort of like a
Paper bag.
Almost. What is that? Not Christmas wrapping paper, but what is that paper you put inside the Christmas bags called? Tissue paper.
Oh,
Right?
really?
That's going to be the wrapping. Word on the street. Environmentally friendly.
Yeah.
Springbank might be leading the way. All right. This was a nice whiskey.
No, actually it was. It was pleasant.
Yeah. Right. You get nervous when you see regions and expectations. Don't tell my wife, but I do regret not buying that 50-year-old 69 when I saw it.
Actually, I regret it now. It would be a nice one to add to the collection of numbers.
If I would have let it go.
Oh, you would.
All right, let's see what the crew has in store for us as we wrap up the 10-year-old Springbank. Widely available when it's available.
Where are they getting these from?
This one's on you.
May you get so drunk, you start thinking your problems are your greatest assets. That's me.
I hear you when you say, oh, it's got a little youth to it. It does have some youth and some vitality and some spring to its step.
I just don't find it as complex as you're trying to start to push this.
But for me, the maturity is in being able to differentiate the bourbon, the Oloroso,
All right, that's interesting.
and the peat, right? That they're not indistinguishable from each other. And that's the complexity, that's the maturity I'm
interesting.
discussing.
So would you go back again for this?
What I already did.
But would you go back in for this and freaking be like, okay,
In the store
Yeah.
or to fill my glass?
in the store?
I think that's an interesting question, because if you get caught up in the hype out there, you should always have one on the shelf, because you're never sure when it's not going to be available. But when it comes to the taste, I'm already glad I have another bottle in reserve.
All right.
With a bearded man and a British guy.